Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Blu-Roy Movies. Now, today we're going to do something slightly different. I've been influenced. Well, I say influenced. I've just basically copied his idea. Ash at Popcorn and Horror. He done a video this morning. 10 films based on true stories, which I thought was a great idea for a video. So I've picked out 10 from the shelves myself that I like, that are based on true stories. As Ash himself alluded to in his video, they're never going to be true retellings of stories, because real life is just not as interesting as movies most of the time, so they've got to embellish them a bit just to keep you interested. I mean, if they were going to make my life story, I'm sure they're going to have to change it just a little bit, just change it up a fraction. And hopefully Brad Pitt would be available to play myself, but we'd have to wait and see. Who do you guys reckon would play you in your film versions of your life? Let me know down below. And James, if you say anybody other than Rabsy Nesbitt, you're kidding yourself. Anyway, let's crack on with this before I lose any more friends. First up, I'm going for, directed by Clint Eastwood, The Changeling, starring Angelina Jolie. Now, this is a real great film. It's all about Angelina Jolie's little boy goes missing, and the police department basically don't want to know. They've got a terrible record in clearing up cases like this. So what they do, they just take a random little boy to her house and tell her that's her kid, and convince her more or less that she's going mad and she doesn't remember her kid, and it's her mental health that's causing the problem, and not the fact that they've just taken the wrong kid to her house. And then it goes on to what has happened to her kid, which gets very dark indeed. Very interesting film, one that, with a lot of these true life stories, I wouldn't say enjoy, but a story that gets under your skin. I haven't watched it actually since I got the Blu-ray, so I'm due watching that again. Next up for myself, Valkyrie with Tom Cruise. This is the true story of an attempted assassination attempt on Hitler during World War II, and the ramifications of it going wrong. Again, a really interesting story. Again, how much of it is true, I don't know, but I really enjoy it. The only thing that puts me off this film is the choice of actors to portray the Germans. I mean, Tom Cruise is no German officer. Tom Wilkinson, Bill Nighy, they're just English through and through, aren't they? They're far from German officers. But apart from all that, it's a film I do really enjoy. Next up, the great Martin Scorsese, the great Leonardo DiCaprio, and Aviator. The story of troubled multi-millionaire Howard Hughes, who was great at a lot of things. A great movie maker, a pioneer of air flight, but a guy who was beset by a lot of mental health issues, including germophobic. Is that the right word? Germophobic? Germophobia? I think I probably just made that up. It literally have to scrub his hands after everything. Wouldn't trust anybody to handle his food, that sort of stuff. A really interesting portrayal of the man. Leo does a great job in this. Doesn't get spoke about a lot as far as Scorsese films goes, which is a shame, 'cause I think this is a marvellous film, really fantastic. Yeah, that's The Aviator. And next up for myself, another one that people don't talk about, Burt Lancaster, the Birdman from Alcatraz. Now, this is the story of, what's the guy's name in real life? Bear with me. Robert Stroud. He got imprisoned for life for killing a prison guard. And while he was in prison, he found a sparrow with a broken wing in the prison yard when he was exercising, and he nursed it back to health, and it sort of became a new calling for him. He went on to rear birds in his cell. He'd sell them, and he became a leading figure in the world of ornithologists, even writing best-selling books, and is still to this day revered as a great knowledge in the world of birds. Something I've never been. Burt Lancaster in this, as Burt Lancaster always, is absolutely superb. The only thing I take umbrage is they lean a bit on Alcatraz, and that was only a short bit of his life in prison, is spelling Alcatraz. He was in other prisons for much more time than he was out of Alcatraz. Excellent, excellent thing. This Blu-ray now quite heavily out of print and quite expensive, but if you get your hands on a copy, it's a fantastic film. Next up, one that's a bit more fun, The Founder. This is the story of the guy who launched the McDonald's empire, starring Michael Keaton, who, like fine wine for me, just keeps getting better, and as older he gets, the better actor he is, in my opinion. Now, he plays this guy, I think it was somebody, Ray Kroc. I remembered half of it, that's good for me. He came across this restaurant where he couldn't believe the speed that they served him his burger and his drink. And this was a little restaurant owned by these two McDonald brothers. And this is a story of Ray Kroc going into business with them. And ultimately, he shafted them. He wasn't a nice guy at all. But it's really interesting how he raised the empire and made it the beast it is today. Another one, if you haven't seen it, grab a copy because it's really good stuff. And another one in a film I absolutely love. I watch this about once a year. Absolutely superb. Zero Dark 30, starring Jessica Chastain, and she's wonderful in this. She's the story of the FBI agent that was behind the intelligence to find out where Osama bin Laden was hiding out, and all about the mission to go in and basically assassinate him. And it's just really interesting how the intelligence that led to finding where he was, and then them planning the mission, how they mocked up a full-size replica of the house he was in, and would have all the Navy SEALs or whatever they were, probably showing a total ignorance there of what branch of the US military it was, of how they used to go in there and practice going through each room and clearing each room. Absolutely wonderful, wonderful film. If you haven't seen that by any chance, just please grab a copy and go and watch that. Next up, this is one for myself to tackle my own fears. I'm absolutely terrified of heights. If I walk across the top of the multi-storey car park, my legs are shaking, and that's The Walk. This is the story of, again, I'm terrible with the names in real life. Well, I can't, that's far too small. But some French dude who decided to tightrope across the two Twin Towers. The World Trade Center, ripped the Trade Center and everybody who perished in it. And this makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up on the end. The way it's so superbly shot, it just terrifies me. Give it a watch. I've got as well a documentary about this guy as well, and The Walk, and it's called something Walk, something like that as well, and that is equally as good as the film. We did a video series a couple of weeks ago. A few people did double bills, and that would make a good double bill. Wonderful, wonderful stuff. Next up, and another great film, Tom Hanks, Captain Phillips. The true story. He's working on it's a shipping container, and it's overtaken by Somali pirates. And it's the story of them taking over the ship, and then them ultimately using Captain Phillips as hostage bait to try and get money and to earn their freedom. Gripping stuff. Wonderful film. Tom Hanks in this, man. The first time I saw it, at the end when, spoiler alert, just put your fingers in your ears if you don't want to hear this bit. Spoiler alert, when he gets free and the realisation that he's actually safe and he breaks down and really got me. I started sobbing like a baby myself. Don't tell anybody because I've got this hard man image to portray, so secret between me and you. Captain Phillips, wonderful film. Next up, and a film I've spoken about before on the channel, a really underrated film in my opinion, and one that I really enjoy, a Tim Burton film, and I'm not into Tim Burton at all. Big Eyes, absolutely great stuff. This is about Amy Adams' character. She's a painter and she paints these paintings where the little children on paintings have got oversized eyes, hence the title of the film. And she marries Christoph Waltz. She's already, I can't remember whether she loses her husband. I think she gets divorced from her first husband and remarries Christoph Waltz. And he's a horrible character in this. He always plays a good horrible character, as you guys know. And he takes credit for her work because back in the day when this was set in, I think it was 40s, 50s America, it was more fashionable for males to be artists and they were more saleable than the paintings. So he took on that he'd painted them himself, even though although he was a bit of an artist himself, he was nowhere near in the league of Amy Adams' character. And he just becomes a controlling, horrible git. And a wonderful film. Again, another one, if you haven't seen it, please give that one a watch. And last up on my list, one, I can't say it's a film I enjoy like The Changeling, but it's a film that engrosses me, and that's 12 Years a Slave. And this stars, I always butcher his name, I'm going to go for Chiwetel Ejiofor. I don't think that's far off. He plays Solomon Northrop, a musician who plays at a concert, and after the concert he befriends two guys that, unbeknown to him, are slavers, and they basically get him drunk and drug him, and when he wakes up he's in chains, and it follows the next 12 years of his life trying to get freedom from the slaves, the plantations that he gets sent to. It's harrowing stuff. It's wonderfully acted with a superb cast. I mean, listen to this cast: Michael Fassbender, Benedict Cumberbatch even, Paul Dano, brilliant, Paul Giamatti, what more can you say? Lupita Nyong'o, she's always wonderful. Brad Pitt, what a cast, what a film. Like I say, you enjoy it more than enjoy it, but great film. So that's it, guys. That's my 10 picks. Once again, thanks Ash for giving me this idea, and hopefully alright with copying you, because that's what I've basically done. If by any chance you're not subbed to Ash, I'm sure you are if you're subbed to me. He's a wonderful guy. Great films, knowledge, great collection. I'll stick his link down below. Go over, give him a love. Tell him that Blu-Roy sent you. Give us a thumbs up, all that crap. Have a good day, and I'll see you all later. Ta-ra.